And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm talking about a game from Cryptozoic called The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Now, I reviewed a game earlier this year called The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, and I told you this was part one of a 3-game series, kind of to match the movies with the 3 parts. This is the second part. Now, this is a complete standalone game, and I'm going to talk about it that way, but it also, you can play this one first and then immediately go into the second one, and they work together. Let's take a look at the game. There's 3 boards included with this game. One's a resource board where you put your starting resources. If you were playing with the first game, An Unexpected Journey, you would place the resources that you ended that game with on that board. Then you have 2 boards that you have to defeat to beat this game. This is board 3, because remember there was 2 of these boards in the first game. Mirkwood Forest and Spider and Elves is this first board you have to go through. Before you start the board, you will hand out a pile of dwarves and Bilbo. Depending on the number of players, each player will get some of these, which will give you special abilities that you can use as the game progresses. You have a deck of cards that matches the board 3 events, and on your turn you will draw one of these cards and you have to deal with it. Like, oh no, you can't use dwarf cards this turn. Or oh no, we have to add another card to the board. There's cards that are pre-printed on the board already. And so on a player's turn, they get these 4 white dice that they're going to roll. And after they roll them, they're going to try to accomplish something here. So I can say, oh, I rolled 3 axes. Well, that will let me beat this, free myself from the spider web, but I think I'll roll another axe. So I'll put them on this one that needs 4. I can then re-roll the dice once, in which case I've completely failed, which is a really terrible thing. So hopefully with special abilities and such, I would be able to get past this difficulty. Maybe I control Bilbo Baggins, who gives me 1 resource of my choice. So here I could use him to get the extra axe I need. Or Keeley would let me turn a die to whatever side I want it to. So I could turn this one to the double axe side. Or if I had Nori, I would have started out by also rolling this golden die, which has, instead of 1s and 2s of the resources, has 2s and 3s on it. Or Feely will double the results of a die. Or Balin just gives me 2 rabbits. So if I did accomplish it, and I would really try to, I would put on top of it a quill to show that that one's been done. If I can't put a quill out, then you're going to start with 6 resources on the board here. 1 of them would come off. And if you lose all of them, you lose the game. Now each player on their turn has to finish one of these cards if possible. You can finish the ones in the bottom row in any order you want, but the ones in the top, the travel ones, you must do those in order. So you have to do Cross River to Mirkwood first, then Run from Spiders. There's also an optional thing you can do over here. Talk to the Elven King. That needs 4 negotiation to do that, and you get a bonus for doing it, but you don't have to do it. As I said, you can use the dwarves. You can also use these. The ring lets you just automatically pass 1. Gandalf lets you double all your dice. But if you notice, they have point values on them. If you use them at the end of the game, your points will be lower. So this will continue. Players will take turns going on and on and on until either they beat the board or lost the game. If you beat the board, any resources that you have left are added up to your resource board. And then we go on to the next board, which happens to be Lake Town and Lowly Mountain, Orcs, and the Dragons. Now this board is a little different than all the rest of the boards. You have a new deck of cards for this one. The board 4 events, but you're now going to have a dragon involved here. Now there's a dragon token. It's actually a little wooden token that you're going to put on this dragon track. And each turn, before a player goes, the dragon moves 1 to the right. If the dragon gets to the spot where there's all that fire, you lose. And if you fail to complete a card on your turn, the dragon will move another 1 to the right. But he's going to move 1 to the right automatically. If on my turn I have extra icons, I can use those to make the dragon go back. So for example, if the dragon was here, and I rolled 2 rabbits and a negotiation symbol, I can move him 2 spaces back. And that's also worth it because at the end of the game, wherever the dragon is, that's how many points you will add. Now this board looks a lot easier to beat, but I will tell you from experience that there's going to be a lot more things that are added to this board and there's a lot of cards that are going to make things difficult. For example, you have Kill the Dragon here, which needs 4 weapons and 4 axes. But if you're not fast enough, this upgrade will come out, which requires 6 rabbits and 6 axes. It upgrades that spot. And there are many other difficult things. So this one also has a optional thing that you can get rather than the elves. You have the Arkenstone, which is another optional thing. Other than that, the game plays out the same. If you get to the end of this board, you technically would then go to the next 2 boards in the game that's coming out at the end of 2014. But for now, you win. Huzzah! Now, if you remember, the first game I said was pretty fun. I was really surprised by it. It was a Reiner Knizia game, and he's not necessarily known for his theme, and The Hobbit is like my second favorite movie series of all time after Lord of the Rings. And so don't you mess with my Hobbit, Lord, Peter Jackson, you're okay. But anyhow, and I thought it was really fun though. It's a good cooperative game. It's light. It's not as hard as cooperative game goes, although they have ways to increase the difficulty to points where you can't beat it. It's just impossible. But I was really curious to see how these work together. So I played it separately and I played them together. And separately, it's fine. It's the exact same as the first one, okay? And I wouldn't say one or the other is better. I might get the dragon one just because the dragon board is different a little bit. Played together, though, I was very satisfied. You played them straight through. It felt like a full-length game. In fact, I'm wondering if the third part might make it too long. Because when we beat the dragon, it was like, yeah, we won. It just felt like you won the game at that point. And I thought it was a good setting. All the pieces can fit into one box. So if you get those, you put them together. And of course, I'm sure some people out there are going to be skeptical, that they took a game and deliberately split it. I think that's fine though, because I think if you really want this full game experience, you'll go out and buy them. But many people will be satisfied with just one chunk of the game. Although I have a hard time believing many people would buy just this one. But who knows? So overall, it's an easy game. There's, it takes a while to get used to the symbols. There's a lot of talking back and forth. Here, I'll help you. I'll give you the dwarves. And it's a cooperative game I found that works really well with teenagers. It fits that category well. The artwork from the movies really fits into the story well. Cryptozoic did a good job in the production for this one. I didn't mention, but there's the golden die. There's actually an extra golden die that you can use when you're fighting on a dragon board. It can move the dragon back. It has mixes of, like it has 2 axes and a rabbit on this side or this side. This one lets you get some dwarves back. So it's actually a really cool die, but you might not always want to use it. You can pick which golden die, and there's actually ways to get both golden dice, which is really cool. I like it. It's an interesting game. It's fun. I look forward to seeing part 3, but if for some reason, we heard the news and Cryptozoic said we're never going to make the third part, I think these 2 would be very satisfactory and is a good Lord of the Rings experience and is actually superior to the original Knizia Lord of the Rings cooperative game he made, the thing that kind of started this whole cooperative genre. I think the Hobbit one is better. Now, granted, that's because there's dice involved rather than tile pulling from a bag, and I like dice better, but I felt more camaraderie in this one. So that's The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.